ahead and use a pry tool to go ahead and get behind the wheel and the hubcap. Remove the cap and set it aside. Using a 21mm socket, go ahead and remove the lug nuts. And go ahead and remove the wheel. Our wheel is rusted to our hub a little bit, just working that off. Go ahead and remove the wheel and set that aside. Let's start by removing this retainer clip, securing the hard brake line and the flex line to the steering knuckle itself. We're going to use a long flathead screwdriver. We're going to come up from underneath, and we want to tap this to get that clip to come up. I'm going to go ahead and tap our brake line here, just to get that to be free. Using a pair of pliers, I want to go ahead and grab our retainer clips here. Pop those out, set those aside. Next, we want to pull these upper slide pins out for our brake pads. Just going to use a small hammer and just work that out. You can grab it by hand, great. If not, use your pliers to do so. Do this for both upper and lower. We have an upper retainer here. Go ahead and pull those out of the pads. Go ahead and grab your brake pads. You should be able to go ahead and pull those out. Using a 17mm swivel socket, we want to go ahead and remove this lower bolt here, and then one up above for the caliper bracket. Go ahead and remove your bolts. Lift up on your caliper. And we're going to go ahead and grab the rotor from the front side and pull a brake rotor off. Once you get that rotor set, go ahead and rest your caliper. So right now we have our brake caliper supported by a strap or a cord. It's held up by the top of our strut. It's hanging most of the, it's hanging the weight off the caliper. Now what we're going to do is use our piston expansion tool here. Once we get a little bit of pressure on this here, we're going to go ahead and loosen our brake bleeder. You want to have a bucket or some drip rags underneath. Going to open up the bleeder screw, and we're going to go ahead and push the pistons back into the caliper. And then once that's all the way in, we'll go ahead and tighten up that bleeder. We'll remove our tool. And then we'll go ahead and clean up our residual brake fluid there. And we have our slide pins here for our brake pads. You want to go ahead and clean these. We have a slight bit of rust buildup on there. So we're just going to use some fine sandpaper just to lightly scale these. I'll go ahead and give them a spray here. And go ahead and clean our brake rotors. Get any shipping oils off the metal before installation. Now we did apply some anti-seize compound to the hub face, and we clean that up. Go ahead and line up your rotor, get that in place. You can go ahead and grab your brake caliper, remove the support from it, line that up over that caliper in place. Go ahead and take your bolts and we'll line them up on the back side and get the caliper bolted to the knuckle. I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts started here. Then we'll go ahead and snug those down. I'm going to go ahead and install our brake pads. Slide the inboard pad in. We'll go ahead and slide our outboard pad in. And we'll just tap that in a little bit. Take our spring tab and our greased up slider pin here. Put that on the inside, put our slide pin through. Go ahead and tap that pin down into place. I'm going to go ahead and install our lower slide pin as well. Now you install your springs here. There we go. I'll finish up by installing our mini cotter pins into our slide pins here. Now we're going to install our brake line retainer. I want to make sure that we get the hose lined up and into the bracket. Line up that little tab there. Tap that down into place. And go ahead and install your wheel. Get the lug nut started by hand. Let's go ahead and snug all these lug nuts down. Let's go ahead and torque the lug nuts to 85 foot-pounds. Locate the notch right here on the hubcap. You want to line that up with a valve stem on the wheel. Working your way around a perimeter, lock this onto the wheel.